Howdy hey there everyone. Recently I was looking through a box of paper circuit supplies, which includes packets of LED lights, copper wire tape, and watch batteries, and I decided to make something with them. If you're unfamiliar, paper circuits are a way to teach people how to build basic closed circuit patterns using electrical flow from a power source, i.e. the aforementioned watch battery, which sends current along the copper wire to one or more LED bulbs. Now, usually we use a sheet of paper or poster board as backing for whatever design we want to make with the copper tape, which makes for an easily understandable visual aid to the circuit patterns and how we get that little light to glow for us. Today though, I want to do something a little more involved than just slapping these guys onto a sheet of paper. Basically, I want to design a decorative shell around a simple closed circuit. So I want to try making a submarine with glowing elements that's exploring the bottom of the ocean floor. A little thing here, a little hatch. Now there'll be this big dome window in front made out of translucent filament with the LED inside to provide illumination. And maybe we'll hide the copper tape and battery inside a rock formation underneath that our submarine will be skimming over. Connect it with a little tube. Maybe we'll even throw in a few deep-sea crystal formations to break up the rock formation. And we'll include a slot at the bottom for our battery to fit into. Thematically, I want the submarine to have a retro diesel punk look, like the Ulysses did from Disney's film Atlantis: The Lost Empire. I absolutely love that harsh steel skeletal look it has, along with the oversized tail fins and that giant observation dome in the front. Color-wise, we'll make the submarine white with red accents as a shout-out to the DSV Alvin, a real-world deep-sea submersible with a long and illustrious history of achievements, including discovering the wreck of the Titanic back in 1985. Okay, let's get to designing. I like to use a free online software service called TinkerCad. On this site, I have the ability to either perform searches for pre-made models made by other users, or to make my own 3D models from scratch. So we do a search for submarine. Now, since none of the available models on the site match the design aesthetic I'm going for, today we're going to go with the latter option and make our own design from scratch. So I'm going to go log into my account and put something together. Go click on New, 3D Design. Now here in the work plane, the blue grid represents an average printing area of a 3D printer, so anything we can fit inside the blue should print just fine. I can use my mouse to adjust my viewing angle, zoom in and out as the project requires, and I can place pre-made shapes on the list on the right onto the work plane, and stretch and skew each shape's dimensions to whatever I need them to be. Sometimes though, you don't want to spend hours and hours reinventing the wheel with a project, so let's see what I can repurpose from some of my past models. To save myself some time, there's this cockpit piece from a robot mech that I designed last year that would be absolutely perfect as the front window for a submarine. I just need to cut away the interior for it. And for our rocky seafloor, why not just adapt the base of an island lighthouse? Now this came from the game Pebble Rock Delivery Service when I was upgrading some of the game components. We just add a few more pieces to it, it'll be perfect. Okay, so the next step is creating stand-in models of our 3 circuit components to build the submarine and base around. So I've taken measurements for the LED light, strip of copper tape, and the watch battery. Using these stand-ins, I can check on how much leeway I need to include for each part of the model. You absolutely don't want to spend hours and hours printing out parts just to discover that guesstimating dimensions wasn't good enough and you have to resize and start all over. The great thing about TinkerCad is that every pre-made shape can be converted to negative space, and when combined with regular shapes, they cut away the overlap, allowing you to cut holes in your model as needed, such as the tube on the bottom of the submarine where our wiring will go into. And so, after a very productive afternoon build session, we have our model prototype. The idea I came up with is to divide the model down the middle, like a sideways clamshell. So we'll build each half, place a strip of copper wire on each side, and hook up to each end of the LED contact wires before gluing the 2 sides together, with the battery going in the bottom. Okay, let's export these files to the printer. And done. I initially thought about using translucent filament to make the undersea crystals, but then thought of a better idea. That's right, glow in the dark. Looking good. Right then, let's lay out all our parts. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to building. First thing we need to do is glue together each half of our model, so we'll take our rock base, dab a bit of quick drying super glue onto the connection tube, and then we'll attach the matching half of our submarine model and let it set. Now that both halves of the model have dried, you can get a better idea of how it's going to clamshell together. Like so. Next step is to peel off the paper backing for our copper wire and lay it into the groove of each side of our model, making sure that it's as flat as uncrumpled as we can make it. Also make sure to leave enough leeway at the top to attach the contact wire of our LED. It's being a little uncooperative here, but we should be able to press the wire down enough for a solid connection. Next, we bring in the other half of the model and attach its copper tape to the other contact wire of our LED. Then, once it's secure, we can hinge the model closed. Okay, it's being a bit more troublesome in practice than when we first drew this out. Make that very troublesome. Okay, time to admit this isn't going to work. The LED can't get a dependable connection with the clamshell layout, so time to go back to the drawing board. Since the submarine itself was our weak point, let's try rotating how its parts connect to a top and bottom configuration. And while the rock formation is more or less fine as it is, it felt like the slot for the battery insert had a little bit too much give, so we'll shift the walls ever so slightly. Right then, back to the printer. Right then, submarine model take 2, electric boogaloo. First we check that the battery fits snugly into the slot on our updated rock base. So far so good. Next, we'll apply the copper wire to each of the rock pieces along their respective grooves. There should be plenty of wire left exposed at the top for our LED to connect to. After that, apply some super glue and carefully place the two halves together until the glue finally sets. Once the glue is dry, we'll check again to make sure that our battery still fits correctly. Still looking good. Then we'll take the bottom half of our revised submarine model and glue it to the rock base, making sure that we don't get any glue on the copper wire by mistake. Next up, we'll install the LED so that each of its contact wires securely connects to the two copper wires. You can adjust the contacts to give yourself some wiggle room, but make sure that both wires and contact nodes don't touch each other around the connection tube. Fold each bit of copper over the corresponding LED contact, and make sure you have a good solid connection for your power to flow through. Moment of truth time. Insert the battery to check the circuit. And just as we were hoping to see, the LED lights up whenever the battery is inserted. With that bit of anxiety out of the way, we can move on to building out the rest of the model. We'll glue down the top of the submarine to the base. Make sure not to get our wires caught between the two pieces. All the slots should also be lined up in preparation for our next steps when we attach the fins. We'll install the translucent dome to cover up our LED, and it looks like the measurements were so close it'll fit snugly without not even needing any glue. Now for the side and tail fins for our sub. And maybe put in a couple little extra dabs to help secure the back fins. And last but certainly not least, we'll spice up that super emo seabed with our glow-in-the-dark crystals. I designed two little divots in the rock base for them to fit into, but the last little bit of glue certainly doesn't hurt to keep them in place. This project has been an absolute roller coaster from start to finish. I'll admit it got a little rough there in the middle, but with a bit of redesign and a little bit of luck, we were able to pull through and bring our idea to life. Even better, the success of this prototype gives us a starting point to mass produce our model parts that can be used as a Makerspace grab-and-go craft down the line, so you could actually take one of these home and try making it yourself. Off you go to the deep, little guy. Happy adventuring!